Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where we would like to thank the Working for Wolves crew for all their efforts of time and energy and resources to help improve the lives of our wolves, including this moving of the straw, which creates a little bit of a interesting stimulus for the wolves. A lot of rodents that are utilizing that straw now and making tunnels and traveling throughout the enclosure, and Denali's hunting abilities are put to the test as he tries to catch some of those rodents. Aidan and Denali did exceptionally well during the work project. They were very relaxed. As a matter of fact, Aidan would frequently be lying next to the fence sleeping while the work crew was working on the medical pen. Basically, the main projects that we're working on is getting walls and a roof on the medical pen. Last year, as we used it more frequently during the winter, we struggled with the fact that it was full of snow and it was difficult to really manage animals in that kind of condition. So we decided to put panels up against it and put a roof on it so that it's a nice dry area to be able to work if we ever need it in the future. That was a first priority. Second priority was to get the pond running and to get some of the residual straw out. And basically what we did with the straw was we used it as mulch for areas that we're going to seed. And you'll see here where Aidan and Denali are wrestling, there's a little bit of straw left. That was actually solid ice, and so that has melted. Once we got the straw off it, icebergs were present, and that's kind of melted. So we'll keep that straw in there as we seed vegetation or feed grass, and try to improve some of the compacted areas to get some more green in the enclosure. So those will stay. But as we said, Aidan and Denali did extremely well, very relaxed, and you can see here again continuing to be young animals who are doing a lot of social dynamics interactions. Now there are times when Denali gets to be a little bit too much, and Aidan does a little bit of a squeal there and lets Denali know he's too much. But you can see by his posture, Aidan's very relaxed, and this is not a negative thing for Aidan. It certainly builds Denali's confidence by being on top and being more dominant, but Aidan's very relaxed, and he does a foreleg stab there to Denali. Now Denali's pretty tenacious and continues to keep it up, and these bouts can go on for hours and hours. Usually early morning is when we see this kind of thing. Certainly every time we come to the gate, they're doing something similar, jaw sparring, wrestling, rolling over each other, and it's not always Denali, but for the most part it is. Aidan's very tolerant and certainly has learned to just roll over, and Denali's probably his concentration or whatever it is about Denali, he gets bored pretty easily and goes about his business. So you can see some of the area that we started to seed is coming in, and what we've got to work on is the soil compaction areas and areas that the wolves frequent. So in retirement, we did the same thing, took out straw, found ice, and so you'll still see some residual straw in the back of the den where we basically scraped it down to ice, but there was straw underneath the ice, and that's probably going to stay as mulch as well. We filled the pond, but not totally. We filled about half of the water in the pond. We do have to drain it again before the medical procedures for Malik and Shadow, their triannual medical exam. We don't want any water in that pond that they could possibly slip and fall into the pond while they're coming out of with medication. Here's Malik found a beaver tail in his cache. And that is one thing that we did over the weekend, is a lot of beaver tails, a lot of pig's ears as distractions. But for the most part, Shadow Malik did exceptionally well. This is one of the first Working for Wolves weekends where Shadow did not bark howl. And we tried something different. One of the things that we know is Shadow doesn't like when people pay attention to him. He likes to watch, but he doesn't like to be the focus. So we told the work crews to don't look at him, don't take a picture, don't acknowledge their name, just go about your business and work, and that seemed to do well for Shadow. He seemed to be able to tolerate that pretty well. Grizzer was the only one who probably had a little bit of issues. Obviously, he's in a smaller area, he's isolated, so there's a little bit of a stress factor there. We did resort to a little bit of Valium on Saturday morning just to take the edge off, as well as Sunday morning, and he did well considering. And certainly it's to his benefit that we have work crews that can help us get ahead of things and get a lot done. So fortunately for us, he loves his pig's ears. That's one of his favorite thing to do, and that's really what he spent a fair amount of time doing, is having some pig's ears. But he did rest, and by Sunday morning when we had to split the crew up and we were working half by the medical enclosure and half in Grizzer's new habitat, he would pretty much settled into it, and he did much better than I thought he would, considering having people on 2 or 3 sides of him. So that went well, and we were very, very pleased with the work. And I know it's for the crews that were here, was probably a little bit more work than you wanted. Certainly, we recognize that in Wolf Care. Everything we do here is physically demanding, and we certainly appreciate the effort. We could not have done what we got done that weekend with just the staff. There's just too many things to do, and again, we've got our own self-imposed deadline to get Grizzer into that bigger area by June 1st, to make sure that he has some places to get a little bit more shade, a little bit more space as the summer heat progresses. So that's something that we're pushing ourselves to try to get done, and we hope to report that that's going to go as planned. So that's about it for working for Wolves Crew. Again, did a wonderful job, and we want to thank everybody who participated. And this is what it's all about. It's working for these wolves and making sure that their lives are to the best that we can manage. And that's why we do it. And we appreciate the efforts that people put forth, and we know that these individuals are worth it. And we want to always do what we can to make their lives as comfortable physically and psychologically as possible. Thanks for watching.